All right, this video cuts off, so I'm gonna skip to 507 right here, where it cuts off. Oh, how cute. You can see that I saw that it cut off, but I guess I thought that I fixed it, and I did not. So I want to talk through what I'm doing now. We put all the GPAs in our L1, all the actuals in our L2, and we're gonna actually find these three values by going to stat tests, lin, reg, t-test, and then just leave everything in there just how it is. Click calculate. And then that gets us a bunch of things that might be familiar to you, like a test statistic and a p-value. The DF is n-2 actually. So 5 minus 2 is 3. But then we also get our least squares regression line. There's our y-intercept A, our slope B, S, 5.473 standard deviation, and then R squared and R. So we'll write all those values down. I wrote it in red on accident, but it should really be in blue, you know. Red is special. All right, we got our R, and then we have our R squared. Okay, so let's see, what was I doing next? I recorded this on March 16th. Now I am trying to remember everything. All right, so I just wanted to show you guys first that R squared is just the R value squared. So 0.877 is 0.936 squared. But then also 0.877 should be familiar to you from another part of this worksheet, and it's the percent improvement. And so those are the same value. And that is important for you to understand when it comes to interpreting. So that's what I'm writing in red right now, the percent of variation in the y values. That is explained by the x values or the explanatory variable. So I was able to see like the percent improvement by using the line, and so that's the same thing as saying the percent of variation explained by the line. So you don't have to do that calculation ever again, but you do need to know the interpretation for R squared. And so that's just something that is one of the flashcards that you can memorize. All right, where are we going next with this? S. That S represents the standard deviation of the residual values, which remember the residuals are the errors. So if we think about that, that represents the average prediction error. It's not the same as when we tried to calculate it by hand, but it's close. And the difference is when we calculated the average prediction error by hand, we used our sample size of 5, and we should have used 3. So the standard deviation has 2 variables, x and y, so we have to take away 2 from our sample size instead of just 1, like usual. And so the formula is the sum of each y value minus the predicted y value squared over n-2, which is the degrees of freedom for this. You don't need to know that, but that formula is on your formula sheet, and so we want you to see it right here. The main thing again though for this is that you just be able to interpret it. You won't really have to calculate it by hand. And honestly, on the exam, since you are going to be taking a 2-question, 40-minute exam, you probably won't be doing calculations like that. You'll just be trying to interpret and apply what you've learned. That's why I'm calculating it by hand is really important. Okay, residual plot is the plot where we have the explanatory value versus the response. Explanatory value or predicted response versus the residuals. So we want to have no clear pattern or apparent randomness to show a linear association, and then we want a clear pattern if we don't have a linear association. So you can see that looks like a quadratic curve. In the second one, we have no linear association. In the first, we have a linear association. We actually saw that in the warm-up with the coronavirus stats. It's clearly not linear, so we had a really big pattern in our residual plot. The standard deviation of the residuals is a vocab word you need to know. Again, the formula is there, but not that important. More about the interpretation. And the last definition that you need to know is coefficient of determination, which is what the r² represents. Same thing, you just need to know the interpretation. And we do have the interpretation flashcards on the website that you need to print and download and memorize, do a Quizlet or something, because on the exam you won't be doing a lot of calculating for that. You'll probably be doing a lot of interpreting, stuff like that. Let's see how much time is left on this video. 10 seconds. So I believe next I will do the video for the check your understanding. Oh, and I'm still going. So just before you guys watch that, I just want to make sure everyone is aware that if there are any video issues, please email me or let me know so that I can fix them. And then for your exam, the main thing that you need to understand from this unit are those flashcards. So if any of that was over your head and you didn't like it, then just make sure you make the flashcards and study those. And then we'll practice more when we get back to the Stats Medic Review course, prepare for your exam. All right, you guys have a great day and continue working. Do the check your understanding. Please email me if you have questions.